YouTube, what's up everyone? Hope you all are doing well. Tonight, down here in South Florida, it is a Saturday night. So, we're going to be doing no other activity than playing some poker. It's only appropriate for us to get a 16th session in a row that we profit on, as we have profited on the last 15. So, let's plan on that tonight. And if you guys haven't already, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you want to. And not too much more to be said, guys. Let's get in there, mix it up, and I'll see y'all at the felt. Let's go. Like I said, guys, it is a Saturday night, so we had to run some 1-2 before we played the 2-5, and it was the slowest session I could have imagined. We played for about 2 hours and couldn't get involved in anything until we pick up pocket jacks. We raised it up, and unfortunately, no biters. As you can see, just ugly, depressing hands. But anyways, this first hand is pocket nines under the gun. We bump it up to $10, and there's actually a vlog watcher at the table who raises it up to $25. His friend told me he wants to mix it up, so I assume he's doing this pretty light. That small raise doesn't deter the big blind. He tags along as well, and action now on me. I'm not going anywhere, so I put in the extra $15, and we go 3 ways to a flop, which is about as beautiful as it can come. It comes down 9 high, but there is 2 diamonds on board. Flopping the second nuts against a player who looks like he wants to get involved with me. But the action does not get to him, as the big blind just decides to jam all in for $30. A bit unfortunate, he is shorter stacked. When action's now on me, now is the question whether I want to be raising to isolate or just electing a flat call. I think either is fine. Me and the hijack player, we have very similar stacks. He just recently bought into the table as well. But I just elected a flat call to try to get him involved, but unfortunately it doesn't matter as he snap lets his cards go. We're up against ace-10 of diamonds, so he has 32% equity, but when the return is a black 4, that's a good sign for us, and then the river is a black 2. So we scoop a pretty decent pot in this 1-2 game, in which this is the only eventful hand that we got involved in a 2-hour period. So time to sit down at the 2-5 game, in which we pick up ace-10 within the first orbit. We raise it up to $15 in the under the gun position, and we do get a few callers as the slow jack, small blind, and the big blind tag along as well. Going 4 ways to a flop at a table with fairly deep stacks, which comes down 10 high. There's not too many flops that look better than this one, as we do have a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and then we also have an overcard along with our 10. So we're not scared of that much. When action checks to us, definitely want to be going for some value. I bet out half pot bet of $30. But unfortunately, it looks like this table might be a bit nitty, as every single player lets their cards go. It's an easy game when you flop top pair and everyone folds, but this game is about to get a little bit easier as we look down at the best hand in No Limit, pocket aces. We raise it up to $30 in a straddled pot on the big blind, and not much respect at all. About the worst outcome possible, as 4 other players call. So not ideal going 5 ways to a flop with aces, but it is the best hand, and let's see if we can hold one time. It's safe to say that now is one of the times, as the flop comes down ace high with 2 clubs on board. Now is a question whether I want to bet or check. I looked in a check this time, which I think I do also like a bet, just with so many players in the pot, but having the board so locked up, I don't think you can go wrong with a check either. When the turn is a 7, this is probably one of the best cards in the deck, as we now have a full house, but 7s are not really in our range with this specific situation. So I elected a check, and action does check around to the button, in which he thankfully just donates $55 into our chip stack. When action's now on me, now is a question whether I want to be putting in the raise or just the flat call. Having, again, basically the nuts, we just elect a flat call. If someone has pocket 7s, they're getting our whole stack. I don't really care. I call, and unfortunately all the other players let their cards go. Now heads up off to Sierra River, which is a shocking, beautiful, spectacular, magnificent ace of spades. Yep, we beat quads on the river, but the problem is, what are we going to get called by? So I elected a check, praying that he slides out a bet, and he quickly throws out $125. Getting quads is great, but I think a better feeling is when someone bets out into you having 4 of the same card. Definitely want to be putting in that raise, obviously. So the only hand that we can really target is a non-believing 7, so I just min click it up to $250. Assuming he's going to be folding most of his holdings, in which that is exactly what happens, as he doesn't think for too long and just lets it go. Thanks to Seminole Casino Coconut Creek, we do not only scoop a $650 pop, but we also get lobbed $400 of cash because we had the high hand of the 20-minute period. The miserable start to the 1-2 game seems to be paying off after hitting quads. Now our stack is around $815, so we're up $315 in chips and then the $400 high hand. Having a bit more chips in our stack when we look down at Jack 8 offsuit, we can widen out our range a little bit, so when there's a limp to us on the button, we bump it up to $20, and sure enough, the big blind calls and the hijack tags along as well. Going 3 ways to a flop, which comes down king high with 2 clubs. On this board, even though we don't have much of anything besides a gutter, this is a good board to be barreling on as it favors our range, but we also have a lot of cards that can improve us, such as any club or obviously any 10. So definitely want to be trying to take a stab at it. I slide out $40, about 2/3 pot size bet, and luckily both players insta-fold, so we take down a pretty uneventful pot. I told you all the ranges are going to be a bit wide in this game as 2 of the players left. I'm in the hijack with 3-4 clubs, and I raise it up to $15. It's like I'm not the only player who wants to play their hand, as the cutoff and the big blind tag along as well. Praying the dealer makes it easy for me as we have 4 high out of position, but that is not the case as it comes down queen high. The player in the cutoff, he switched seats, so this is the same player that bluffed into me when I had aces. So I think he'll give me a lot of credit for my bets. I bet out $30, and looks like this time he does not give me credit as he tags along as well. Hoping to improve on the turn, which we do pick up some more equity as it comes down a king of clubs. So when action starts with me, now's the question whether I want to be keeping my foot on the pedal or slowing down. With this specific player type, I think I actually like a check to let him try to bluff into me. I know when I say bluff into me, obviously he's going to be bluffing with the best hand regardless of what he has, but I think I won't get too much credit if I do a check raise now, just because I kind of want to take the same line as I took with the pocket aces hand. So when he throws out a bet of $65, it's pretty sizable, but I'm just going to go with the planning on check raising any river. The only bad part about this strategy is if a river comes down a brick and I check it to him and he checks back, we will 100% be losing if that's the case, but I think that my line will just look so strong. When the river is a 7, this is definitely one of those cards that we need to be bluffing on. So sticking with the plan, I checked it to him, praying he actually bets out so I can hit him with the old-fashioned check raise, but unfortunately that's not the case. And we lose to 10 high. Thank the Lord a club didn't come, I guess, but that hand was pretty embarrassing to say the least. After that one, our stack is now a little bit over $700 until we look down at the beautiful pocket queens. I feel like we've had queens about a million times on the channel so far, but I'm going to be opening up the action of $15 under the gun, and same deal with the aces, no respect as we get 4 other callers. Not ideal with a overpair as the likelihood of it getting cracked is, fairly high with this many people in the pot. But when the flop comes down, jack high with 2 hearts, definitely could have asked for a better flop, but I feel like we can get called by many draws and jack X on this board. So when the small blind checks it to me, definitely want to be going for some value. So I slide out a bet of $55. Regardless of what sizing we choose, for the most part, any jack X or any flush draw, straight draw will most likely be calling. And sure enough, the low jack does call. Action is now in the hijack, in which he thinks for a while, but he eventually just elects on a call. Everyone else lets their cards go. We can actually assume we had the best hand because no one raised on a wet dynamic board like this. Now we're going 3 ways to a turn, which comes down a 5. Putting another flush draw on the board, but this is actually probably the best card in the deck as now we beat any other 2 pairs if anyone was holding them. Definitely want to keep betting out, so I throw out a bet of $160. I like my sizing because now with another flush draw on the board, if anyone picked up equity on the turn, they're almost always never folding. The low jack makes the call once again. Action's out on the hijack, and it looks like he has a decision to be made. He's kind of just staring at the boards, but he doesn't think for too long and says some words that I was not expecting to come out of his mouth. He says all in. That's right. He decides to play for it all for $565, and now action's back on us. Oh boy, what do we get ourselves into? Let's try to break it down. Like I said prior, there is 2 flush draws on board in which both we do not block. Sure, he could have a 5. I think the likelihood of having a 5, though, is pretty slim, as I don't know how many 5Xs are going to be floating the flop. With that being said, though, I would not imagine him having pocket jacks or pocket eights playing this way, as there is almost no incentive to be folding out any draws. Sure, if the draw doesn't hit, it would kill the action, but with an overbet of this sizing, it just does not make sense, as you would want to try to entice any draws to, tag along, as you would essentially have the nuts with pocket eights or pocket jacks. As for ranges, I think this player understands them to, a certain extent. With a board such as this, he could easily have hands such as 6-7 of hearts, 6-7 of clubs, 9-10 of hearts, 9-10 of clubs, which has a crap ton of equity, and he could just be using this 5 as essentially a scare card. I'll tell you guys what, go into the comment section real quick and comment fold or call. Which of the two do you guys think I am likely to do within the next 5 seconds? So I'll give you some time. That's right, guys. I elect on a call. Sure, it is kind of a disgusting spot, but with all the variables mentioned, along with a pretty sizable bet relative to the game, I make the call and the action's now the low jack. To my surprise, he does not snap fold, and he actually agonizes, basically saying he has a tough decision to make, and that is the case as he shows Jack 8 offsuit. So he had us absolutely crushed on the flop, and we found a miracle 5 on the turn. After seeing his hand, obviously I'm electing on a call, but luckily for him, he does make the right decision and lets it go. So now we're off to see one card with all the money in the middle, which comes a King of Diamonds, which, yeah, the King does look like a bad card because it is a overcard to our queens, but luckily all the draws didn't miss. And as all my poker players know, when you're facing an all-in and the guy has a disgusted look on his face, you know that you're good. And that is exactly what happens as he mucks his cards. We table the queens just to be nice because the guy to our left showed us the Jack 8. Getting a little sticky on that turn resulted us winning a $1,540-something pot. Thank you to our sticky play on the turn resulted us winning a almost almost a $1,600 pot. So we're happy to take it down, and we live on to see another day. This is a pretty good angle with the sign in the back. Anyways, guys, I apologize. The session's probably going to be a bit shorter, or I guess you've already watched it. So I apologize that the session was a little bit shorter than normal, but happy to take it down once again. Since it was a Saturday night, it took us quite some time to hop into the 2-5 game. And the 1-2 game, we were pretty much card dead until we got that 9s hand in a flop top set, but the guy only had 20-30 bucks behind. So yeah, I mean, walked out of the 1-2 game up around 30, so nothing major. And then in the 2-5 game, quickly got quad aces. But I think the most eventful hand of the night was that queen's hand. A bit of a weird situation, but I think with the run out and then just the player types and just solely the amount of money in the pot, I think that was a pretty straightforward call, even though it was a bit of a nasty spot. Luckily, we made the right decision. It looks like we probably faded some sort of draw, but happy to take it down, guys. We were in the game for 500 bucks, same as normal. It's been working like a charm. We're out of the game for 1665, and that's after tipping the dealers and getting a few waters and coffee, and that's not including the high hand. So without the high hand, we were out of the game for $16.65, so a profit of $1,165. With the high hand, we had a profit of $1,565 in about 3.5 hours. That's all I got for y'all tonight. Thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.